who has Mechathune Warlock. She has her own Death Rattle Hunter, which has a Marnie Warbaron, which I got a little bit excited about. She also has the Odd Paladin, and she also has the Zerix Priest.
Okay, so these lists are a lot more similar than from the previous series, where Teebs was very much the aggressor and Hydaelyn was playing a much more defensive lineup. We're seeing quite a few similarities here. The Zerix Priest, the Hunters are almost identical, but we've got the Warbear for Pathra, and then the Odd Paladins as well are very, very close. So the outliers are going to be the Mechathune Warlock and the Warrior deck. Warrior is a control anti-aggro style of deck, and the Mechathune Warlock is a combo style of deck. So if we're going to see the Warlock versus the Warrior, Patra's going to be heavily favored. But Cara's Warrior deck, I think, has a solid matchup against the Odd Paladin, and I also think it's reasonably good against the Hunter deck, if a few stars align, we'll say. So I don't think Patra's going to be banning out this Warrior. I think it's much more likely we are going to see her banning away. It's going to be the Paladin or the Hunter, I want to say.
Okay, well, I just refreshed the page, and lo and behold, the ban's popped up. CaraCute's Priest has been banned, whereas Patra's Paladin has been banned. Yeah,
that is a little bit surprising. Cara banning away the Paladin makes perfect sense to me, because it is so strong against her Hunter, and she's looking for her Hunter to probably get a win against the Warlock. But Patra banning away the Priest. The Zerix Priest is good against the Hunter. In the mirror, maybe she's not very comfortable. And in my experience, I guess Psychic Scream can be a threat versus the Mechathune Warlock. It can be a little bit annoying, and they can race. So the Priest does make sense. But for me, I would have gone for just a more straightforward ban away the aggro that's going to kill me strategy. And Odd Paladin messes up Death Rattle Hunter.
I did have a very quick chat with Cora on Twitter earlier on, where I said, how are you feeling about your lineup versus Patra's? And she said, honestly, she feels as though it's pretty much 50-50. She doesn't know which of them is favored, but obviously 50-50, you've got a good shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the bans change things all too much. Both have the Hunter, where Cora is going to have that Paladin looking rather good against the lineup from Patra. Actually, okay, so the Paladin's great against the Hunter. Against Priest, double Spirit Lash, double Mass Hysteria, double Psychic Scream, it can be difficult to stick a board. Cara's Warrior deck is going to lose versus the Warlock, is going to lose versus the Priest, and is probably going to lose versus the Hunter. So I wouldn't expect her Warrior to pick anything up. It's just really, really weak against Patra's lineup. So that's going to leave Paladin and Hunter. Hunter's decent. I don't know. Yeah, this is looking very close to me. It's going to be quite matchup dependent.
It is indeed. I mean, when you look at the Paladin, Odd Paladin tends to be quite weak against controlling Warlock decks, because we're talking a deck that has 2 copies of Mortal Coil, Defiles, Godfrey, Hellfires, etc., etc. Even Cataclysm. Well, that's for the finisher, though. Then again, in that matchup, as the Mechathune Warlock versus the Odd Paladin, do you actually play to the Mechathune finisher, or do you think you just throw everything out as much as you can and just try and stop the Paladin onslaught?
I don't think you can win if you don't play to the Mechathune finisher. This isn't a version of Mechathune Warlock with Skull of the Minari and Voidlords. If it was that version with Skull, Voidlords, and Gul'dan, I think you could play to an alternate win condition of just taunt up and siphon life until the Paladin is dead. But without that in the list, Patra's opted for just more anti-aggro, more stall, more draw tools. I don't think there's a way that she wins the game without Mechathune. Cora will just stall the game out and eventually have a way to kill that Mechathune on board. So I think Patra's going to have to play towards that win condition, and Cora's just going to have to play towards her win condition of hit him in the face a lot and hope that it works.
All right, Cora, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's going to win this one?
I think I'm favoring Patra very slightly.
Okay.
But Patra's Warlock looks like it could be her weak point, and Kara's warrior is absolutely her weak point. So I'm seeing it come down to more so priest hunter versus paladin hunter on each side. And the priest is better versus the hunter, but the paladin's great against the hunter. And priest and paladin, honestly, that one can be a bit of a toss. So I don't know that I can make an educated guess about who's favored here. Maybe very slightly Pathra if her priest can get a win against the paladin.
I mean, that was one of the other things that Cara said to me earlier, is that she thinks it comes down to essentially the mirror matches, or the matchups, I guess is another way of putting that. I'm gonna just to go up against you, I'm gonna say CaraCute's gonna win this one.
Okay.
Part of that is the bias in that I've noticed she's coming into the playoffs as first seed. So obviously
that's impressive.
She won the Swiss. I reckon Cara's going to keep using that momentum and give Pathra a good run for her money.
I think that Cara as well just competes in Hearthstone more often than Pathra does.
Yeah,
and WSOE, Pathra obviously had the better finish. Maybe she had the better read in that event, but Cara she seems to play online tournaments. She plays Fireside Gatherings and LANs very often, whereas Pathra tends to focus more so on streaming, more so on ladder. So I think when it comes down to a competitive setting, maybe Cara has a little bit of an advantage, but it doesn't seem like either of them have an advantage when it comes to lineups. No. They both had very similar reads coming into this tournament. But I do think that we are just about ready to get into game number 1 here. Remember, we are playing Last Hero Standing. So the winner of game 1 will continue with their deck into game 2, whereas the loser will have to change. So it's going to be Pathra on her priest deck up against Cara on the hunter.
Yeah, Last Hero Standing, of course, being very relevant in the previous series that we watched, as Teebs was able to tear through her opponent using only hunter. It's something that you do sometimes see in Last Hero Standing. If there's one deck that's particularly well placed against the other lineup, then it can just win all 3 games in a row.
Absolutely. And Death Rattle Hunter is for sure a deck with sweeper potential in Last Hero Standing. But I do think Patra's priest deck is somewhat well positioned here. Psychic Scream in particular is going to be really well timed in this matchup. If Katharina Winterwisp comes down on 8, or if something is cubed and then the Death Rattle is activated through Terror Scale Stalker or Play Dead, Pathra can just Psychic Scream all those threats back into the deck and simply not have to worry about them for quite a while. And then it can be very difficult for Cara to deal with Azeric's Cloning Gallery, or with a Lesser Diamond Spellstone that's been upgraded.
Yeah.
So this one is going to depend very heavily on Pathra having that removal, but if she does, then I think she'll be in control.
Pathra has 2 copies of Shadow Visions in her opening hand. I will say that much. And there's a Psychic Scream as well. So she can be pretty versatile with these Shadow Visions. She can hold on to those until she desperately needs something. She can try and get a win condition from them. She can do pretty much whatever she wants there. Psychic Scream, of course, you mentioned it. I'm going to mention it again because it's probably the most important card in this matchup. We've been saying for months now that usually Death Rattle Hunter is great against control decks, but there's sort of a big question mark there when it comes to Priest, because that Psychic Scream gets through all of the Death Rattles and just tears the Hunter's strategy apart.
Yeah, and then especially if Cara does not have the follow-up pressure post Psychic Scream, it can be kind of a free-for-all for the Priest. Pathra can Psychic Scream and then go immediately into Zarik's Cloning Gallery if she holds the coin, or go into, Shadow Essence and pull out some spell damage and threaten lethal with Mind Blast. It's just a deck that if for 1 second the Hunter slips up and can't pressure, Pathra will take advantage of it, and she will be able to kill Cara on the backswing really quickly. So both Shadow Visions coming out here pretty early for Pathra. I guess with 1 Psychic Scream in hand, she knows what she's really going for here. Very likely she was looking for a copy of Zarik's. Didn't find it, but is going to be able to maybe take a second Mind Blast if she's looking to potentially just lethal Cara very early on. She's got additional removal with Mass Hysteria, or she could go for the Eternal Servitude and try to go for that board building strategy. But with no Shadow Essence in hand, I think we're more likely to see her maybe take that Mass Hysteria here.
Do you think it was Zarek specifically that Pathra was looking for? Because in her first Shadow Vision, she was given the option of the Shadow Essence, and
Mhm.
I did think that maybe she'd go for that, but instead she went with the powered shield and went to cycle instead. What did you think of that?
I personally am not playing a version of Xeric's Cloning Gallery Priest that even runs Power Word Shield.
Right.
My version is a little bit heavier, whereas I've got like Obsidian Statue in the top end. So I think it's just I have different experience with this deck than Patra does, and that's totally fine. The Power Word Shield version is going to cycle a little bit more heavily, made this Radiant Elemental a very real threat, which forced Cora to deal with it, and I think that's very valuable. But to your question of was she looking for Xerix, in my experience with this deck, you are always looking for Xerix. If you have removal, Xerix Cloning Gallery is the one card in your deck that enables all of the rest of your cards to work. So I do think that she was hoping to hit it off of one of those visions, but you're playing a lot of spells and it's not a guarantee.
There are a lot of things that Patra can consider doing this turn, and many of them do use the coin. I mean, the one that jumped to my mind was coin, Lyra, Holy Smite. See if you can go off and see if that Lyra can stick. She's gone with the somewhat safer play, just coining out the Ziliax, getting that trade. It protects the Radiant Elemental and potentially allows a big Lyra play later.
Picking up that Lyra as well, enabling the Eternal Servitude to pull something that generates additional value is very strong for Patra. Because after taking that Eternal Servitude off of the visions, the best she was looking at here was a Resurrected Ziliax.
Yep.
Which in this deck is fine. It's good at playing the removal game, but it's not nearly as strong as Eternal Servitude can be.
Right.
So picking up that Lyra off the top kind of bails her out there with that decision.
It's especially not great in this matchup where really you do need the value. You need that late game explosion to beat the very late game orientated Death Rattle Hunter. And now Patra does go ahead and drop the Lyra down. If it survives, great, she can go off. If it doesn't survive, as you said, it's just coming right back from one of those Eternal Servitudes.
And Kara's had a bit of a difficult time this game so far because she did not have Devilsaur Egg early on.
Yeah.
You know what? Even Spider Bomb would have been fine here. Just something to make use of the Terror Scale Stalker in her hand that she's had in hand since the Mulligan. But because she hasn't been able to build board, because she hasn't been able to really take advantage of those Death Rattle activators, she's just kind of stuck here. And even though I don't think Patra's hand is the strongest hand, like post Psychic Scream, if she doesn't have some good stuff, I think that Cora can really take advantage with Katharina Winterwisp into King Crush. But I don't even know if Cora's going to get that far, honestly. Patra's getting further and further ahead right now.
This is, with the Divine Spirit off of the Lyra, this is just getting out of control.
Again, Hunter's Mark having been nerfed recently from 1 mana to 2 mana means that Death Rattle Hunters are not playing it anymore. They're not playing Candle Shot, they're not playing Hunter's Mark, and that means it's going to be really difficult for Cora to target this Lyra. She can find Spider Bomb and then try and hit it with Death Rattle activators, but it's not a guarantee now. And she doesn't even have the Spider Bomb.
Even if there were something like a Candle Shot Hunter's Mark, there's the Ziliax in the way. Pathra has done a great job of just setting up her board, and it's just going to go off more and more every turn. If Patra can somehow get a second Radiant, there it is on the board.
Oh, man.
That has to be worth considering. Obviously, Velen Holy Smite is also something she can consider this turn, but Radiant, Holy Smite, Mind Blast, Silence, Eternal Servitude, go, go, go. That's the play I'm liking the look of.
There's a ton of value in getting this Velen down, though. Like, Patra, having found that Lyra, she's committing to the game plan of generate value and try to win the game that way. But I don't think that necessarily means you have to throw away your initial strategy, which is just put big minions on the board and resurrect them. The extra arms here making these trades so incredibly clean is just insane. So I certainly think that she is seeing this strategy pay off in spades, but I wouldn't have minded the Velen this turn.
Another Eternal Servitude!
This Lyra has been so good. Dang.
Was that a slight mistake there. I believe Patra buffed the Ziliax that had rush rather than the Ziliax that could attack. I think she could have actually dealt more damage
Yeah,
there.
if she had buffed one that I think she could have
Yeah.
for at least 3 damage to face. So
But
little mistake there, not too terribly bad, and I don't think one that's going to actually prevent her from winning the game, but something to note.
when you're in this position where even Katharina just doesn't look like it's going to do enough. I mean, this is summoning, I think, just Witchwood Grizzly 100% of the time. And, we're talking Velen, Mind Blast, Holy Smite, all in hand, with the spells costing 0. This game is over.
Yes, it
Even
sure is. 14 damage to face with just the spells from hand, silence, and push that damage. Pathra closing out game number 1 before she could have even played Xeric's Cloning Gallery, just getting to turn number 8. That is much more aggressive than we are used to seeing the Xeric's Cloning Gallery Priest play, especially since when you have tools like Psychic Scream and Mass Hysteria, you think that you can afford to play that matchup a little bit more defensively and then rely on those crazy powerful board-centric tools that you have in the late game.
Yep.
But Pathra said, screw it, I'm not even going to let this game get to that point. And, I mean, absolutely dominant performance there.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I want to talk very briefly about the early Shadow Visions again.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pathra did get a little lucky in that she did draw that Lyra, which is the single card that did allow her to completely go off and eventually ended up winning the game. I do wonder if maybe Shadow Essence was the better pick from Power Word Shield early on, but I guess she figured with enough cycles, she'll get to the big threats eventually anyway.
Mm-hmm. And that second Shadow Visions, that was, I believe, Mass Hysteria, Mind Blast, Eternal Servitude,
yep,
was not great choices. Mass Hysteria can be a bit of a liability in that matchup if there are eggs on the board. Mind Blast is a little bit too early to really see the finish line at that point, so you don't know that you're going to need a second Mind Blast. But at the time, she didn't have much of anything great to Servitude. So I think taking the Servitude was fine. But like you said, getting the Lyra off the top there just made everything sort of work together that much better. But Cora is going to opt to queue her Control Warrior into this Priest instead of Odd Paladin. Why do you think she's doing that, Falc?
She wants to tank up. That's my answer. That's what I got. She wants to tank up a lot.
I've played a lot of this matchup from the Priest perspective. Not a lot from the Warrior perspective. And I love Control Warrior with all my heart. It's my favorite deck. I will stand by it through thick and thin. But I don't know that this is the time.
I agree with you. I think it heavily depends on the Priest's draw, though. I mean, Pathra drawing Lyra and Malygos and Radiant Elemental so early. Is that necessarily what you want as the Priest? Or do you prefer to actually get all of those out with Xeric's Cloning Gallery? I guess there is the advantage in that you can play them early, you can Eternal Servitude them back, but I'm not sure.
I think this hand is fine for Pathra. She's going to have the time to play these minions. If it were a more aggressive matchup where she wouldn't be able to play Mally from hand or wouldn't be able to play Lyra from hand, then yes, she'd rather pull them from Xeric's. And she's still going to want Xeric's this game. That is 100% the most important card in this matchup for her.
Right.
But I think her hand's fine. Like, if she just rips the Lich King off of Shadow Essence and then can Servitude it back up, that's crazy. That's value that the Warrior just has such a difficult time beating.
Yep, that's true.
I want to look at the matchup here.
It's going back to what I said earlier about Cora tanking up. She will have to tank up a lot to sort of get out of the very maximum amount of damage that the Priest can come up with. While it is possible for the Odd Warrior to outlast the Priest, I think that is entirely dependent on how the Priest plays. And if Pathra is smart about it, should we saving those spell stones? Should we trying to get a big explosive Malygos Velen together play later on with both of her Mind Blasts, which can deal, upwards of 60, 80, even more than that damage in one turn?
Okay, maybe I'm not giving the Warrior enough credit in this matchup. HS Replay says that the Priest is favored, but only about 56%. So
Is that a legend?
not just at Legend, because I'm not a premium user.
Well, I will
so
find out.
that percentage can be a bit skewed, but still, it is not the 65-35 that I was expecting. But I do think that getting that Lyra down early and maybe going for the value plan in this matchup is really intelligent.
Okay, Cora, I've got the win rate of that matchup only at Legend.
Yeah.
It's 69% at Legend.
Okay. All right.
So like I said a moment ago, I think it's entirely dependent on how the priest plays it.
And I think that is because both of these decks are really hard to pilot.
Yeah.
But the priest deck in particular can be quite difficult to mulligan correctly with. So at ranks that are not just Legend, you're going to naturally see the priest perform worse because the players who are piloting it are just worse at piloting the deck.
It's actually a very nice example, isn't it, of how decks and matchups can be very different depending on which level of play you're at. The priest can just run dry if they don't know what they're doing here and run out of damage. But, at Pathra and Cara's level, that's not going to happen, and Cara's got her work cut out for her.
Yeah, I mean, there are just so many ways that Pathra can win this game. If she can visions for additional spell stones, if she can visions for additional Mind Blast, hit the Xerix, and then deal a ton of damage with spell damage. It's just, I mean, if she can hit Lyra and then res Lyra and get a ton of value generated that way. Like, it's any way that you cut it going to be an uphill battle for Cara. But she can just tank up out of range of spell damage, and then I suppose exhaust Pathra of resources if Pathra is not careful. That's a great pickup.
Oh, yeah.
Any cards that you're already running in your deck, if you hit them off of Lyra, you are happy.
Yeah, I mean, especially in a matchup like this where it's completely down to the priest outvaluing the warrior. When I say outvaluing, I mean like she uses these resurrect cards to get her Malagos and her Velons on the board, which is how she gets lethal. So any card that says resurrect minions, it's probably a pretty good pickup from Lyra.
Cards Cora has a ton of stuff to work with, but none of it is really great here. She doesn't want to be using Shield Slam just to clear up a Lyra that's going to come back. She doesn't want to use Reckless Flurry to clear this board because there's going to be, it's such more threatening boards coming up.
And she wants her armor as well. Like it's actually very important in this matchup. There are quite a few bad pickups from Lyra for Pathra available in this matchup though. Like anything that causes Pathra to put a minion on the board from her opponent's deck. She doesn't want those. She wants to be resurrecting her own minions. So Thought Steals, Devour Minds, anything like that can be a little bit awkward.
This is just about one of the worst Stonehill defenders I think I've ever seen. Cara's forced to Shield Slam away that Lyra because she knows if she lets it stick, Patra's just going to keep doing nothing but playing spells generated by Lyra. But when you're expending that Shield Slam this early, feels really bad because Cara knows that Lyra is just going to come back. Or there's going to be a Malagos that has 12 health and, she needs to kill that somehow, but she used her Shield Slam for 4 damage earlier. She's forced to do it, but it really sucks.
I wonder.
Well, here we go. I almost expected to see Radiant come down again this turn, but I'm sort of almost making the mistake that I said that the bad priest players do with that play, which is where you sort of blow all of these vital resources early on. Instead, Pathra taking it a little bit slower, holding on to that Radiant, getting an extra Xerix definitely can't hurt.
Holding on to the Radiant is actually really important here because there is not a Radiant left in her deck. So to have that Radiant and to have coins in hand can allow Pathra to play the Radiant and then play the Xerix or play the Spellstone and then be able to play Mind Blasts from hand to potentially just kill Cara later on. So I do think it's really nice that she held it. But, I mean, hitting Visions off of the Lyra, it's hitting another Eternal Servitude, like, what more could you really want here?
Cara's going to have to consider that brawl, and it's really not too pretty. Big Game Hunter can come in handy against Prophet Valens, though chances are by the time Patra's played Prophet Valen, Cara's already dead.
And that there lies the issue. Warrior has a ton of awesome removal tools, but it budgets its removal to be able to remove something one time. And it hopes that that minion can't come back because you already killed it. But this priest deck does not abide by those rules of Hearthstone.
Doesn't really abide by rules.
Not really, no. Playing against this priest deck was how Chandyland got 39 damage overkill against me at WSOE.
Oh, good brawl. There we go.
Yeah, very good outcome. And we're giving Cora a really hard time here because this is understandably a very difficult matchup. But, you know, she can find Dr. Boom Mad Genius. She can start to value generate from that with delivery drones. She can get Blast Shield and start armoring for 7. Like, she has her own very powerful tools, but none of them allow her to deal 40 damage with a Mind Blast or to resurrect 4 8-drops and above with 7 mana.
I feel as though this is one of those matchups where you don't really know if you want to play Dr. Boom, because on average you get less armor every turn, and the other hero powers, I guess Discovery Drone's good, but the others don't really do enough.
Micro Squad is bad. Kaboom is bad.
Even deal 3 damage is bad.
3 damage. It's fine. But now Patra's picked up a Holy Smite and a Mind Blast. She's got all the coins. She's got the Xerix to pull out Velen. Once the Mally dies, like, good lord.
Are we going off?
I would be tempted to hold. Only because that Xerix in hand, maybe you want to play that alongside the Mind Blast, but she would only be getting the Velen.
Patra's running into some hand size issues here.
Not hand size issues.
She can't play Sonic Probe. Draws her a card. Gonna just throw away that Reckless Flurry. There's the Devour Mind that I said isn't ideal, especially when her hand is this big.
I don't know that I love playing the Diamond Spellstone there. Yes, it's fully upgraded. Yes, you're guaranteed a Lyra back. But post Xerix, that Spellstone could have Lich King, or Velen, or Malagos after that dies. And you're kind of hoping that that Spellstone is going to give you the spell damage necessary to win the game. So I think that this was just too early. This is just too weak of a Spellstone.
Counter argument. She was guaranteed Lyra by playing it now. And after Xerix, maybe she wouldn't have been guaranteed a Lyra. And maybe her plan is to use the first Spellstone to sort of generate as much value as she possibly can, and then use the second Spellstone and Xerix in combination for lethal later. She has just seen a Brawl used up.
Mm-hmm.
So perhaps Patra's thinking, this board has a good chance to survive.
It's possible. Yeah.
It won't. But there goes 19 armor. And there's the Mashogun Warden. Mogoshan Warden. You can tell I've never had to cast that card being played before.
Yeah, you take it off of Stonehill occasionally, but not because you want to. Let's put it that way. Playing the Xerix here is not ideal because your hand is so full. And Patra does want to be able to really take advantage of the Death Knight cards off of the Lich King and the coins from the Gargoyles.
Oh no!
I don't know that she really wants that.
Nah, that must have been the wrong order.
I would have much preferred Holy Watering the Mogoshan, running the Ziliax in, and then Servituding. Because she knows that she wants to pick Malagos, very likely, because it's just hard for Cora to remove. Maybe she was looking for Lyra, and if she'd found Lyra, then it's better to go with the Holy Water second. But I would like to do anything to prevent having a Mogushan Warden in my hand.
There's no way that was intentional. I mean, misplays like that aren't that surprising because little things like Malagos buffing up the holy water to cause that to happen, little technical things, they can quite easily go wrong in Hearthstone.
Yeah, absolutely. But as long as Pathra does not Mogushan Warden, he'll fine. It's a card that's going to be coming up annoying. It's a minion that you resurrect, Servitude, or Spellstone.
Is there any way she can discard it without playing it or something?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. Just somehow get the card Shriek and make it her cheapest card in the hand.
She can somehow get Deathwing.
That's a little bit much. A little bit much.
Not sure how that would happen. I don't think it can. Well, okay. She could play Lyra, get Free from Amber, summon Deathwing, get Holy Water with 2 spell damage minions on the board, Holy Water the Deathwing, and then play it. Or Seance.
Thank you, production.
That would be easier, thanks, production. Fair enough.
I wonder.
I took the scenic route to get there. You know, Pathra picked up the Xerix quite a while ago and just hasn't wanted to play it yet. And the longer she goes without playing it, the less and less effective it becomes. Now she's drawn the Lich King, whereas before she could have had it in her res pool before she had to draw it.
What is...
Don't. Please. Please.
What does she even still have in the deck? A Malagos?
Velen? No, she does not have Malagos.
She doesn't have Malagos. Sorry, I meant Velen. I literally just switched the two in my brain for some reason.
Yeah, she's got Velen. I think she might have maybe a Gargoyle.
Yes, that seems right.
There's not much.
I think that's it.
Especially since she's... Oh, and a Grizzly.
Does she run Statue?
No.
No, she doesn't. Okay. A Ziliax? No, she doesn't.
She Essenced the Ziliax originally.
So yeah.
This is just a Ziliax who's been rezzed quite a few times. Okay. But that Army of the Dead is dead. She didn't want that.
Well, it could summon her Ziliax and a Velen and a Gargoyle, as we've established.
Best case scenario for Pathra here would have been Death Coil, but Death and Decay also would have been fine. And Death Grip, I suppose, just to deny a card from Cora, although Pathra would not want to play that minion.
Frostmourne would be 15 damage to the face over 3 turns, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's good, that's good.
You like damage to the face?
Yeah. That also would be Gluttonous Ooze fodder, but yeah, we pick our battles.
Wouldn't be able to get the second Frostmourne.
That's true. We just need to get back-to-back Frostmournes.
Meanwhile, Kara's putting together a little mech army here. She's managed to swing the board back in her favor. Not sure how long that's going to last. There's the Ziliax.
It's a
That's one less card.
Tentative lead. And I think, to Kara's credit, she's played this game absolutely correctly so far. I can't really think of anything that I would have done differently from her perspective. Patra's got a full hand. But she does not have the card that she needs the most, which is that Spellstone. And actually, she's only got the one Spellstone left in the deck. I haven't tracked how many Visions she's played this game. Do you know how many she has left, Falc?
I thought that she'd played 2 and gotten 1 from Lyra.
She might have 1 remaining. I'm not positive. But at minimum, 1 more Spellstone. Maximum maybe 2 potentially. And that's really all she's got left that can generate big value. So I think Cora is closer to the finish line than we're giving her credit for here, because the Mind Blast and the Holy Smite don't do anything if there isn't the Spellstone or the Xerix to put the spell damage on the board.
Yeah.
So again, generating Lyra value is all fine and good, but that first Spellstone, I think, was used a little bit too liberally in the fact that it did not return equal value to that Spellstone.
This game has had so many branching paths, most of them coming from Patra's direction. Like she's had a lot of turns where she's had a lot of good options available to her, and unfortunately, her hand just ended up being a little bit dry here. The Magoshan, did I say that right? Magushan.
It was close. Yeah,
the Magushan
you're
Warden
good.
and the Army of the Dead are just sitting there dead in the hand. There's a Brawl that's not doing anything. And there's a Xerix Cloning Gallery, which isn't doing anything. And that's not even the one from the deck. There will be another one drawn at some point, which will be equally useless.
But now Kara's getting to the point where she's finding some of her value cards. Omega Assembly can be used for full value now. At some point, maybe she will find Dr. Boom Mad Genius, and because she's not under a crazy amount of pressure, maybe she will feel like she can use it. There is an eternal servitude, but there is a bit of a failure rate here. You know, that could bring up Ziliax, Radiant Elemental, and Gilded Gargoyle. And honestly, even if Pathra hits the best minion off of Eternal Servitude, we'll say is like the Lich King or Malygos here, very likely that Cora can just deal with that. So I would like to see Pathra save this Eternal Servitude, maybe to be used for spell damage later on. I think she's getting rather close to the point where she can't OTK Cora, but also to the point where she can't grind her out either.
I agree that she maybe could have held on to that Eternal Servitude there. She got the Frostmourne, which isn't the worst draw in the world, but as you said, Gluttonous Ooze will be eating that up. I would have maybe even liked it played as the first card in a turn, so that if Pathra did get Lyra, at least she could do something with that then. Whereas Lyra was an option there, and Pathra just couldn't pick it.
Yeah, I mean, if she was going to brawl this turn, I think that maybe she should have held off on the Servitude for that exact reason, trying to find Lyra, because now she kind of desperately needs that Lyra to get her those power cards, to get her another Spellstone, another Shadow Visions, maybe a Free from Amber. Whereas the Death Knight cards, just there's not enough of them that are good enough here, I think.
And when you look at some of the, frankly, quite filthy things that Cora can do this turn, if she wants to, she can Faceless the Lich King, coin out Zola, and Zola the Lich King as well.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. She could also Ziliax and, well, not quite enough damage with Ziliax coin Replicating Menace. Just shy of what's needed. But you know what? Again, these Death Knight cards are not the best here for Pathra. Death Coil is going to be her best option, and that's only if used in combination with Malygos and Velen on the board. So Kara's just, I guess, not all that afraid of the Lich King.
Just to be completely clear here, if Pathra does use that Frostmourne to kill the Microbot, when it gets resurrected on her side of the board, it will be a 1/1.
Yeah, and that means that a 1/1 goes into a res pool.
It's like a sheep.
It ain't good. That's for dang sure.
And
it's going to be immediately put on her board when Cora uses the Gluttonous Ooze to break the Frostmourne. So I think it's worth it to push 8 to face, but now this is just going to end up making Patra's win conditions that much more situational.
But let's see what Cora has to do here. So Ooze, okay, that leaves her with 7 mana remaining. She could Brawl, I guess. She could just play the Faceless. Sorry, not the Faceless, the Reckless Flurry. Jumbling up all the cards today. Maybe she Reckless Flurries first, then plays the Ooze. That's actually much better because she gets more armor and her 3/3 stays on the board. But then that's
feels bad to have to play the Flurry here, considering she already played 1 copy earlier on.
And 1 Brawl as well, already gone.
Yeah, that would just leave her with 2nd Brawl for the 2nd Spellstone. which could potentially leave a spell damage minion on the board. But also, it's the best that she has here, and I think she might be forced into it.
Yep, as we thought, it is going to have to be the Reckless Flurry, then the Ooze. Leaves Cora with 35 total health, with the better minion on the board. And the good thing for Pathra here is that if she wants to, she could Psychic Scream right now, which would prevent this 1/1 from going into her res pool.
She could even play the Mogushan Warden and coin and then Psychic Scream.
I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but it has to be worth considering. Faceless is not bad at all.
Of anything that she's going to take
It's
from
like
Kara's
the
deck, that is the best that she could have gotten. Also, these screams are just clogging up the hand, and
I think this
probably
is a
aren't going to
scream.
get that much value this game.
I think this is a scream, Cora.
I wonder.
This game is very quickly turning into a battle of two women who are just sort of not doing a whole
No,
lot.
if Pathra doesn't scream at Cora, I'm going to scream at Pathra.
You don't, as much as we love Pokey and Pinchy, you don't want to res them.
Someone's screaming right now.
They're really bad.
Pathra!
Oh my goodness. Why?
Oh, no!
No!
What? That can't be right.
It's not. It's so not right. Okay, so Pathra, the reason that she made that trade is because she doesn't want Kara to be that far ahead in fatigue. But
Right.
Kara's already got 8 cards left, whereas Patra's got 11. So like Patra's already winning the fatigue battle here. And there's no Direhorn hatchlings in deck for Kara, so there's not really that crazy risk of Kara extending fatigue. So I mean, this is just strictly incorrect from Pathra, unfortunately. She should not have made that trade before screaming there. If you're going to make that trade, what's the point of screaming away a Gluttonous Ooze back to the deck, you know?
Now, I am relying on Deck Tracker here, which can get very confused in Priest games where cards are appearing everywhere from Lyra. But I believe there's still an Eternal Servitude left in the deck, and obviously there's still a Spellstone left in the deck, so those resurrections will be important. And every time that 1/1 appears, it's going to be a little reminder that the Psychic Scream could have worked its magic in a slightly more effective way.
So what is left for Pathra in the deck to pull with Xerix? Velen is still there. I believe Ziliax is still there. But all that does is...
Ziliax
No,
has
Ziliax
actually
is
been
drawn.
drawn. Yeah.
Okay, so all that Xerix does is put the Velen on the board, which then puts it back into the res pool. But that does not matter until Patra is able to find that spellstone.
That's a gargoyle. Yay.
What is Elun's will?
All of that being said, the game's still winnable for Patra. It could happen.
Absolutely. She could just find the spellstone, fully upgrade it, and rip Velen Mally plus
Lyra.
a Radiant Elemental
Or
and
Lyra
Lyra,
stuff, yeah.
and then just straight up kill Kara.
Could just get Lyra Radiant into Infinite Holy Smites. Could happen. Could happen.
Yes, the Witchwood Grizzly, of course.
Haha, your Super Collider doesn't do anything if my minions are all 1/1s.
Well, it does kill the Witchwood Grizzly.
That's true.
Put that into the res pool where Patra doesn't necessarily want it to be.
Also true.
There's just a lot of rules that you have to abide by as the priest in this matchup. It's almost somewhat similar in that way to Control Warrior Mirrors, where you never draw. You cannot draw cards, otherwise you will be ahead in fatigue and very likely lose the game. That is a cardinal rule of Control Warrior Mirror. a cardinal rule of priest versus warrior is you need to get the value out of those spellstones. You need to have as much value as you possibly can. And I think that this was just a little bit of an oversight on Patra's part. Going to be a Devil Sore in the res pool as well. And I would have rather seen Cora hit the Grizzly and then go for the Tankmaster, because then it would have been a 50-50 to transform the Velen. What do you think about that one?
My brain is fried, Cora.
Okay.
I'm sure that beast was a 1-1 a second ago. Now it's 5-5.
Yeah. I don't think there's any reason to play the Tankmaster there unless you're trying to transform the Velen so that it does not get put in the res pool. And if that were the case, Cora should have swung with the Super Collider first.
Well, funnily enough, there's another minion in Patra's Death Rattle pool now, or res pool. Well, there will be if it dies.
Yeah.
So there's a 1-1. There's going to be a Mogushan Warden at some point, potentially. There's this 5-5. As long as...
It's just a weird game.
As long as Cora can survive Patra's board,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she just wins now.
What now?
Super weird game. I mean,
Again, with
Cara's
the
only
lack
got
of the
6
second-
cards left.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
We're getting down to the wire a little bit. And
One of them's
Patra
Dr. Boom.
can just find that Spellstone. Again, fully upgrade it, hit Velen Mally Radiant, and then just double Mind Blast, double Smite, and win the game.
Hang on, slow down a second, though, because you say fully upgrade it like it's nothing. Isn't that 12 spells need to be cast to fully upgrade it?
It's
No,
8.
It's 8. It's 8. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 spells.
That's still difficult for Patra.
All right.
Most of
That
her remaining
will-
spells are her win condition.
That will be very difficult.
Patra may have to devour mine soon. She might end up with Dr. Boom at this rate. Then
Yeah,
my brain
okay.
really
I'm okay
will
with
fry.
that. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Oh,
because
no!
okay. Oh no. Patra needed to really not burn minion generation. Burning Eternal Servitude there is not as bad as burning the Spellstone, but it's still really bad. That could have been a Lyra. Oh man.
All right, here's the plan. Empty
Yeah.
hand, play Devour Mind. Get Dr. Boom, discover some big mechs, win...
Well,
question mark,
that's kind of the
profit?
thing. If Patra gets Dr. Boom Mad Genius and just hits Delivery Drone over and over and over again, she's winning in fatigue. She can go toe to toe with mechs, and she does still have a Spellstone left in the deck. That's honestly not a bad strategy. But she doesn't know that Dr. Boom's still left in the deck for Cora, right? She could reasonably think that Cara's just been holding it this whole time because she wants 4 armor every turn.
And if she gets the Dr. Boom, and she gets the Spellstone off, and she gets the 1-1 mech back, it will have Rush.
Well, we're going full Mogushan here.
Where's Topsy Turvy when you need it?
Great question. It's in the Lyra that was going to come out of the Eternal Servitude that she burned, unfortunately. That's where it was. Yeah, I'm not really used to this matchup going quite so slowly. It's rare that the priest fizzles this much.
You know, when
Okay.
we started this game, production
Mhm.
said to us, "Get ready for a long run," and I was thinking to myself, "Nah, it won't be that long. Priest just sort of does its thing, mind blasts for 40 damage a piece, the game ends." This is not the game I expected.
This one usually isn't that long. It's usually not. Even if you
Oh
go
my god,
to
it's
like,
happening!
oh my gosh, even if you go to like turn 10 or 15 with this match, oh my goodness,
that a
those
loose?
are. Yeah, she. Okay, wait. So Cora
I'm done
does
with
have Direhorn
hatchling.
Hatchling, and her list, she just hasn't drawn the good stuff. Yeah,
Where's
okay, yeah.
Dr.
I
Boom?
thought that the Direhorns were being replaced by the Facelesses, but no, Cora does have 2 Direhorns and Elise and the Zola in hand, so Cora can extend this game quite a bit here. Fatigue is not what it seems to be, fam.
Yeah, but Patra can play this and potentially get it back with the Spellstone later. Get another one.
But then Cara's just going to have way more health than Patra, and if they're toe-to-toe in fatigue and toe-to-toe on board, Cara wins.
Yeah, this is so confusing. Like, Kara's even got Zola and Faceless to extend her late game even further.
Oh yeah, she wants to draw that Elise so she can play it and Zola it, and then just hit them packs.
She just wants to open some Ngaro packs.
Heck yes.
It's all any of us want to do, really.
It's fun. Last few cards in Cara.
So wait, her last card's literally 2 Direhorn Hatchlings, Elise and Dr. Boom? Because that's pretty funny if that's the case. Like, all of her value cards right at the bottom of the deck.
Apologies for that. My computer just died.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Are we mobile Cora right now?
Oh heck yeah, we're mobile core right now. Apparently the problems that I thought were fixed were not fixed. So that's good heads up. At least it didn't break for the streamer showdown yesterday, which I'm very happy about. So Cora is going to be in the market for a new desktop computer, looking like.
Is anyone selling?
Very exciting. My dad owns a computer store. I think I'll manage. All right, Falc, walk me through what's happening here because your girl can't see it.
You can't see the game. Well, Cara finally drew Elise the Trailblazer with 3 cards remaining in her deck, which I think are both Direhorn Hatchlings and Dr. Boom. And Elise was slammed straight down onto the board with
Heck
Zola.
yes.
So Cara is now getting ready for some late game shenanigans, and Patra has now drawn her Spellstone. She's got a lot of work to do if she wants to upgrade that.
Hi, I'm back.
Hey! Non-mobile
going?
Cora's back.
Yeah. Quick
Can you-
little restart right there seems to have done the job,
Can you
hopefully.
see the game now?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. We're gonna get there. Yeah, really unfortunate that Cara's last 3 cards in her deck were arguably the best 3 cards in her deck.
Sort of, but then in this matchup, did it end up mattering? Because they're like, apart from Dr. Boom, like, sure, Dr. Boom maybe mattered. But the other cards, they're all fatigue cards. And so maybe it's fine them being drawn last, you know?
Yeah, she kind of would have liked just to have maybe bodies on the board earlier. Potentially they could have allowed for her to hold on to some of the removal that she used. If she could have tanked with, an Elise early on or a Direhorn. But even still, Cara has managed to find a position in this game which is really difficult for the warrior, and that's being even or maybe even slightly ahead. And Patra did finally find the Lesser Diamond Spellstone, but she needs to upgrade it, and to do that she needs to play 7 more spells, and then she has Mogush on Warden and a Microbot in her res pool, as well as a Devil's Sword.
And Gilded Gargoyles, Ziliax isn't a great pickup from it
Yeah.
either.
Spellstone can be inconsistent at this point of the game, but it's even worse than that now.
She still hasn't drawn Velen.
One did die from the second Xerix, though, so it is in the res pool.
All right. Well, now Cara, she spent the entire turn timer trying to work out this play. It's going to be the Daihorn and the Faceless to really set that late game fatigue value in. She's winning
That's
the
exactly
fatigue.
what she's got to do.
She's going to win the fatigue game even more.
She was behind by about 3 cards early on in fatigue, and now she's going to be ahead by, well, it looks like about 3 cards. So 4 with the second Elise in hand. So she is, I mean, she's killing it right now. Cora has played this game almost perfectly, I would say. Aside from the turn she could have killed the Witchwood Grizzly with the Super Collider and then Tink Mastered to try to transform the Velen, I would not have done anything differently. Seriously, an incredibly commendable job to be able to take a 30% matchup and turn it into something winnable.
Mm-hmm. And hey, she wanted to tank up. That's the first thing I said when you asked me why Warrior. And by not drawing Dr. Boom, she got to tank up a lot. Patra really considering the Spellstone here with only 2 minions resurrected. Okay, goes with the Velen in the end. She really wants this to stick with the Mind Blast and double Holy Smite in the hand ready to go, but that's so unlikely, and she knows she's going to have been keeping track of Kara's cards. Shield Slam in the hand ready to go. There's still a Brawl. Oh, CaraCute just drew Witchwood Grizzly, so obviously we weren't completely certain of what the remaining cards were for her. Actually, that was Psychic Stream back in, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But I'm just not sure about how Patra quite manages to generate the damage here. Yes, in the world where Velen sticks, maybe Patra can Faceless the Velen and then go Holy Smite, Mind Blast. But even then, that's only just like 30 damage.
That world is not going to happen.
No,
Kara's not going to let that world happen, and
course.
even if it were, she's only about halfway there.
Basically, Patra needs the perfect Spellstone, and even then she needs it upgraded. Even with the perfect Spellstone, I don't think she can get lethal this game.
She's got second Mind Blast in the deck still. If she has Velen, Malagos, Radiant Elemental, and Lyra as her 4 minions that she reses, with double Mind Blast, double Holy Smite,
she'll have a coin as well.
20, 40... Yeah, 68 damage. Kara's almost out of range of the perfect res plus double Mind Blast, double Smite.
All right, let's go. Elise, we're forgetting Spellstones entirely here. We're thinking, let's win the game with some Ngoro cards.
She doesn't even have the Spellstone upgraded to the point where she can get Velen, Malagos, and Radiant yet. She, at the very least, needs 3 minions off of it.
But with the Elise pack, maybe she can get some spells and use those to upgrade Spellstone.
Maybe.
Everybody now, journey to Ngoro.
Okay, so if the Elise gives her another Elise, and that gives her another Elise, and that gives her another Elise, Patra will win.
Yes, that's some good analysis there, Cora.
Then she will win the game. That was some good Super Collider positioning.
What now?
Cora just seems to have all of the tools at her disposal at the moment compared to Patra.
Oh, this game.
This game has been longer than the first series that we cast today, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. That one was done in about 38 minutes. It was very short. But again, just a testament to how well Cora is playing this matchup.
There's a pack.
They are even on fatigue right now, but there will be 2 more minions going into the deck of Cora when these Direhorns die.
And I believe that Cora has a second Direhorn still in the deck, still that she hasn't drawn yet.
Yeah, she just faceless the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So she will be in favor in fatigue by 3 cards. That's a really good pack, though.
Okay, so Hemit's a 6-mana 6/6.
Yeah, you don't play that.
Okay, so if she gets the Microbot from the Spellstone, she can Tarim it and it becomes a 3/3. There we go. Silver linings, everyone.
The Stonehill Defender could find Obsidian Statue, could find the Lich King.
That's true.
That's a really good hit. I mean, this is definitely an above average path, for sure.
I wouldn't mind opening that pack and getting 2 golden legendaries, yeah.
Oh, heck yes. Better than I've ever done, and I've opened a lot of packs. That is a free Grave Horror.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Gonna just go ahead and play that immediately. Patra's in this horrible position where she knows that Cora has a lot of removal still available. She's got the weapon on the board. She's still got a Brawl somewhere loitering about in the deck. Patra, if she's ever going to win with a board presence, she has to do this very carefully.
It is still possible, but it's less and less likely, especially since that pack did not give her another release. But again, very methodical gameplay from Cora, very patient. And Patra is getting further and further away from the dream of upgrading the Spellstone and hitting the perfect minions. It can happen, though. She could still get them right here. Velen, Malagos, Radiant Elemental. And she would have lethal.
Would she? Yeah, I guess she
would be like
would.
64 or 68.
Yeah, you're right.
14 for each smite, 20 for each mind blast. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Imagine if that's what happened.
Or wait.
Patra just ripped those 3 exact minions off the Spellstone and won the game. What an anticlimactic ending.
I mean, she'd be getting hella trolled in coverage. It would be insane. I wouldn't call it anticlimactic. I think that would be quite the ending. Pretty nuts.
I will silence their screams.
Pack number 2 of the game. Or armor number 46 of the game.
She's got to go with the armor, right? Because there's no urgency to... Oh, never mind. I was going to say there's no urgency to open that pack. But
I urgently want to open this pack, Falcone.
Oh, you urgently want to. But
I want to see what's in this pack.
In terms of winning...
She hits Hemet as well.
Cool, so we can both blow up the rest of our remaining decks.
Sweet. No holds barred. Hand combat. I mean, Swamp King Dread is a 9/9. Ornery Direhorn probably is going to have some additional health or Divine Shield. Like, it's not a bad pack.
But Cora will have calculated the fact that the maximum amount of damage Pathra can deal in one turn at this point is ... And I would imagine she'd be wanting to tank up until she gets to that point.
I think Cora, honestly, is just not even concerned
You think
about
she's
that
chilling?
happening. I think she's chilling hard. Yes, there is a world where Patra hits the exact right minions and wins the game. But I think Cora is like, that is not my universe. It is not my problem.
I don't think Cora really wants to live in that world. Not after this game.
No. But Patra's just leaning into the fact that she is going to be way ahead in fatigue. She just shielded and now only has 2 cards remaining in her deck. Cora has another Ungoro pack. Honestly, I would have liked to see Pathra just maybe rip that spellstone a
Concede?
couple turns
Oh,
ago,
okay.
but she's trying to upgrade it fully, it looks like. It's going to be 3 spells away from that still.
But she knows there's still a brawl left in Cara's
I
deck.
know. But she doesn't even care. She's not trying. Okay, well, she's trying to win the game on board, but that spellstone is not to win the game on board. That spellstone is to try to win the game immediately.
Immediately, yeah.
And I guess Patra's thinking 4 minions are better than 3, but also I think she's put 2 or 3 additional minions into the res pool in the time trying to upgrade it from 3 minions to 4, so I don't know if it's worth it.
Just to adjust our way of thinking ever so slightly here, even if Pathra doesn't get the immediate win with the Spellstone, if she gets a Lyra and a Radiant, she can still go off with the Holy Smites and the remaining Powered Shield, I guess, potentially get another Spellstone from the Lyra, or more Eternal Servitudes.
That's a good point.
Some other way of winning the game. So yeah, fully upgrading the Spellstone, absolutely worth it for Pathra here. It's the only way she wins.
There is still that Lyra out. You're absolutely correct.
Oh, she's gonna go with 3.
What's it gonna be? Yep.
Oh god. I gotta tell you, I really would have loved to see the Microbar and the Mugoshim Warden appear in
The Devil's Sword. Unfortunately, that's about what was expected at this point. There's got to be like 15 minions in her res pool, when normally you're shooting for about 6.
Stonehill Defender.
Oh my goodness. What a slow and painful game for Pathra. Very painful.
It is finished.
But
And there we
she
go.
is going to concede her last hope of victory. Unfortunately, did not go according to plan.
Which means, as Cora just won with her Odd Warrior, and as this is last hero standing, we will be seeing her Odd Warrior up next against one of Patra's remaining decks, which are the Mechathune Warlock and the Death Rattle Hunter, both of which are looking like they should be in a good spot against the Warrior.
Yes, they should both be. I would think that Patra's very likely going to bring out the probably the Mechathune Warlock here, because I think it's very difficult for the Warrior to put on enough pressure to beat down the Warlock enough before they draw through their whole deck and can just OTK. So that should be pretty much an automatic win for Pathra, I would say. The Death Rattle Hunter, there's been a lot of contention about how that matchup actually goes, who's favored in that one, to the point where a lot of people say that, you know, even the Warrior might be favored, or it's very close at the very least.
Honestly,
But Deathstalker Rexar is insane.
Honestly, the fact that Cora lost with her Hunter in the first round, that's going to cause her some issues moving forwards, because the odd Paladin looks to be in a very bad position against the Mechathune Warlock. So there's a good chance the Pathra can just win both of the next 2 games in a row.
Yeah, that's the way I'm seeing this. I don't think losing that previous game hurt Patra's chances in this matchup whatsoever. Cora winning a game with the Warrior, honestly, I didn't expect. But Pathra was always going to be able to beat this Warrior, and I think it was always going to come down to that odd Paladin for Cora. It was probably her best deck across the board here if the Hunter loses.
Are you telling me that hour-long game that we just watched didn't matter?
It mattered to Kara's psyche. Because
and to ours.
she just won a game that 70% of the time she doesn't win. So, okay, let's put it this way. She's not going to win this one. But Odd Paladin can absolutely beat this Warlock. And then it's Odd Paladin versus Death Rattle Hunter, which is Odd Paladin favored. So maybe it did matter. Because now Cora just needs to win one more unfavored matchup. And then she probably wins the series. So maybe it is actually closer now than I'm giving it credit for. Because Cora willingly queued the Warrior into the Priest instead of the Paladin. And she got that win. So you know what, darn it, it is a big deal. It matters, Falc.
Now, for anyone that's not seen a Mechathune deck before, Mechathune, the card, is a 10 mana 10/10, and it says, Death Rattle, if you have no minions on the board, or in your hand, or in your deck, you win the game. So, Cora, talk us through how this deck works.
Okay, so you draw through your entire deck until you have no cards left. You have to play 2 Galvanizers while Mecha'thun is in your hand, so you can discount it to 8 mana. And then when you have no cards remaining in your deck, and no minions that death rattle into additional minions on your board, you play Mecha'thun for 8 mana, Blood Bloom for 2 mana, Cataclysm for 4 mana, but it costs 4 life at that point instead. So if you have more than 4 health, the Cataclysm blows up your board, discards your entire hand, and then Mecha'thun activates, and you win the game. It is, I would say, the most consistent Mecha'thun OTK combo. Maybe not the most flashy.
Right. Well, again, it's that Warlock hero power, isn't it? Like, the ability to draw consistently every turn without fail is very helpful in a deck like this, which is so dependent on draw. The only thing that is worth pointing out is that Pathra needs to have more than 4 health remaining to use the combo, because otherwise the Blood Bloom will just kill her when she goes off with that.
Yeah, I actually ran into this situation this morning. I was playing Death Rattle Hunter against Warlock, and I couldn't kill them, but I got them down to 2 health.
Perfect.
And it does not draw the game. They Blood Bloom and Cataclysm and die before anything else activates. So they would actually lose the game if they are below 4 life and try to go for the combo. Again, I don't think that matters here. Cora is not going to be able to do that much damage realistically before Pathra draws through her deck.
Go. Super Collider to the face 3 times. That's some damage.
Look, I have dreams too, Falc. But this isn't one of them.
So Kara's going to want to try and deny as much draw from these acolytes as possible. She's already silenced the first one. Yep, this is what I expected. Going to go ahead. Reckless Flurry. Yes, the Corpse Taker survives, but it does mean the second acolyte only draws 1 card. She's just trying to slow Pathra down in any way that she can, but still she has to get some aggression on the board somehow. And she doesn't have the cards nor the deck to pull that off.
We didn't think she had the cards or the deck to pull off that last game, though. But I do think that this one is, honestly, maybe the worst matchup in Hearthstone right now. Let me check. Let me check them stats, because it's a really bad matchup for the Warrior. Yeah. Falc, take a guess how often the Warrior wins this matchup.
Okay. 10% of the time.
I will say, there is a worse matchup that I'm seeing.
Really?
Malygos Rogue versus Odd Hunter is a 7.56% win rate for the Malygos Rogue. This
Okay.
matchup is an 11.33% win rate for the Warrior.
Wow. I was close.
11% of the time, the Warrior wins this game.
I was closer than I expected. I'm now trying to check that stat at Legend, but it doesn't exist because obviously not enough people are playing Mecha'thun Warlock.
Yeah.
But at Legend to rank 5, it's 10.7. So yeah, very close. Very bad matchup.
Oh, God. Winning a 30% matchup happens. That happens. Winning a 10% matchup after winning a 30% matchup, Cora would have to go buy many lottery tickets. Because she would just be the darn lucky. Or she'd have to go enter like all the Hearthstone tournaments because she'd be the best player in the world. This matchup is just that bad.
Nice little side effect of the Galvanizer there. Celiax costing 3, getting the Magnetizer. Pathra could actually win this game just through pressure. With that little Galvanizers.
the little mechs that could. She's not playing the Skull of the Minari Voidlord version of the deck, which actually is better it's better in this matchup that she's not playing those cards, because sometimes you want to get that skull out of your hand and you play it and then you're like, oh shoot, I have this Voidlord on the board and now I can't OTK without the Voidlord dying, and the warrior can just tank up every turn and negate the Voidlord's damage. So there are less traps that Pathra could fall into in this matchup because she's not playing those 3 cards. But get that Dr. Boom out early. This is going to be Kara's best chance to apply pressure. Now all of her mechs have Rush. Maybe she can start picking up some big mechs like Beryllium Nullifier, which Pathra can't clear up because she's not running Twisting Nether. She could find her own Mechathune.
She can zap cannon the face.
Oh, she can zap cannon the face.
But yeah, it's really not looking all that good. We may even just see Baku next turn from Cora, as it's just looking like the most aggressive play available to her. And in fairness, it's not that easy for Pathra to deal with. Oh yeah, she's got the voodoo doll. Never mind. Just skimming through that very big
hiding between the Solarium and the Amethyst Spellstone.
Yeah.
She does just have an upgraded Spellstone and a regular Spellstone, which she could use to kill the Baku as well.
It's just looking pretty sad, isn't it, Cora?
Yep.
It's one of those positions where we don't really have all that much to add to this game. If we see something amazing that Cora can do to somehow give her some sort of edge, we'll point it out. But in a matchup this bad, 11% win rate for the warrior,
it hurts.
Just not looking good.
And that's part of the reason why professional players have loved this meta so much, because there's very few matchups like this. There are very few matchups where right from the get-go, you know how it's going to end. It takes the fun out of it, you know? It takes the competitive nature away, because, I mean, this is just nigh an unwinnable matchup for the warrior. But you still have to sit through it, and that sucks. There's not a lot of that right now.
Even Freeze Mage Odd Warrior was less one-sided than this.
There were ways for Odd Warrior to win that matchup.
Sorry,
it didn't happen often, but it did happen.
I mean,
for Freeze Mage to win that matchup.
I meant Freeze Mage Control Warrior. Yeah, it wasn't even Odd Warrior back then, was it?
No, but they did have access to tank up with Justicar True Heart. It happens sometimes. Sometimes the Mage won. I mean, sometimes they just got like 7 fireballs and killed them.
Yeah, and if they got the double spell damage minion, it was definitely winnable for some of the best Freeze Mage players in the world. But even that wasn't quite as poor a matchup as this one.
This would be a good time.
Poor Dr. Boom. A shadow of his former self.
He's still pretty spicy.
Not here, he's not.
Not here. But we're going to have him sticking around for a while, which, frankly, I'm happy about. A lot of really powerful cards are going to be rotating come April when the new set is released, and I think that means that Odd Warrior might have more of a chance in the meta. Right now, though, there's just like some crazy combo decks that it has such a difficult time against. Alright, but Pathra only has 6 cards left in her deck. She has played her Galvanizers. She has her Cataclysm. She needs her Blood Blue. And then she can Solarium just to discard 3 cards from her deck, essentially.
It's simply a matter of time. Every single time Pathra draws a card, that's the countdown timer for Cora. It's how long. This is how long you have left to live. It's currently 4 more cards, which probably 2 more turns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking like it. Patra's at 28 life. I think she's probably going to finish this game at 30. Dark Pact in hand, Spellstone in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You cheaty ankle biter to the face so you can upgrade your Spellstone and you gain the life back. It's actually a really sweet inclusion that we weren't seeing up until very recently.
And that's why you'd consider it in decks like Even Warlock as well, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose it makes some sense.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Gem-Studded Golem is aggressive.
that's 5 damage. Hard to clear off the board, for sure. But there is still Voodoo Doll in hand. Plus Godfrey, plus Defile. There's a lot of ways for Patrick to survive here, just to draw through her last 4 cards. And if the card that she draws this turn is Bloodbloom, she can just Solarium and win the game on the next turn. So 1 and 4 to win on the next turn.
What's it gonna be?
Cora has managed to build a rather scary board. It's a bit spooky, but it is also easily dealt with by the Godfrey in hand.
It's sort of scary, but then Warlock just laughs at boards like this nowadays. Godfrey is just stupid strong.
The issue here, though, is that Pathra needs to play the Dark Pact if she wants to tap this turn to not overdraw, or she can just play the Blood Mage here. Or she can play both.
Fine. She's not in a hurry. She can
That's actually... Yeah, that's fine. She still needs 1 more turn to finish drawing through her deck. But then she will definitively win the game 2 turns from now.
She has a Spellstone to deal with a big minion and to heal. She has that Voodoo Doll that's been there for ages. She can even freeze a 3rd minion if she wants to. If Cora somehow breaks out of this Odd Warrior shell and becomes a Death Rattle Hunter for a turn and plays Katharina and 2 Playdeads. Pathra can even deal with that if that happens.
Yep. Alright, so Pathra will draw her last card on the next turn. Or she can draw it now.
Even.
And then she will win the game.
Last card was actually Bloodbloom. Better play it now to
Yeah.
Gnome Ferratu or something.
It is a slow march towards death for the warrior in this one.
Alright, let's see the combo then.
Barring human error here, Pathra has won this game. And there we go. No amount of armor can save CaraCute from the Mechathune OTK. Very nicely executed by Pathra there. It seems like much more confident in the win condition for this deck than in the win condition from the Priest deck in that previous game. So really nicely executed. That's going to put Pathra up 2-1, and she will be going into game number 4 with her Mechathune Warlock, and Cora will have her Paladin, I believe. But unfortunately, I do have to head out now. I believe. No. I'm sorry, Falc. I hope they're going to find someone else to cast the last game or 2 with you, but I got to get going. I got to leave.
Well, it was a pleasure
I'm so
having
sorry.
you here, Cora. It looks like we're jumping straight into the next game. So have a great night, and I'll take it from here.
Thank you so much, Falc. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Best of luck to all the competitors. It's been a real pleasure to get just a little taste of what the badass women of Hearthstone have to offer. And I'm really appreciative of this opportunity. So I will be seeing you guys next time. and you are left in Falc's very capable hands.
I'm not so sure about that. But here we go, potentially the last game of the series. And we're going to have to see how much Cara can do with this odd paladin. It is possible to get an aggressive enough start to take down the Warlock before they get their board clears, before they get anything too crazy. But it's not easy. Then again, this is about the start that Cara would want. But look at the cheaty ankle biter pickup there. Precisely what Pathra needed. Vicious fledgling on the board ready to go as well. What's great about this is that Cara's saying, okay, Pathra, if you want to survive, you have to deal with it. You don't have a choice. If you've got a Spellstone or a Hellfire, you're coining out one of those cards this turn. If you've got a Corpse Taker, great, coin it out. I will trade both of my minions into it. And it is going to be the Corpse Taker, and Cara's not going to have a problem to deal with that. And there's the second fledgling to follow up with as well.
Hello there, Falc.
Hello, rebobson.
I've just quickly jumped on from production as Cora's had to depart. So you'll be having to deal with me for the rest of this. I know Falc was really looking forward to having a little solo cast there, but
well,
it just wasn't the same.
I just love the sound of my own voice, okay?
Who doesn't?
I really don't like solo casting, so I appreciate you hopping on.
Nobody likes solo casting. So this is actually looking pretty good for Pathra, the way things have started off.
Yeah, I mean, Cara had the kind of few key cards at the beginning there. That Argent Squire with the Blessing of Might was great, but that cheaty ankle biter really single-handedly seems to have turned this game around.
It definitely seems to. And double Corpse Taker doesn't really hurt your chances against any kind of aggro matchup, does it?
Of course not. As long as you don't draw all of the other Taunt and Divine Shield minions, then you're good to go.
Yeah,
I do like how aggressively Cara played the first few turns. But now look at this. Vicious Fledgling bounces off the Divine Shield at best.
Yeah, it's not too often you see double Vicious Fledgling in an on-paladin to begin with. Then they're both in like the opening hand, and then they both do nothing.
Both against double Corpse Taker, actually.
Yep, choose just to not even attack.
And now Patra's just rolling along this game.
Oh.
Mortal Coil as well. Not a card we see very often nowadays, but it's great against Odd Pally.
Yeah, just keep on cycling through your deck, keep on killing those dudes. Thalnos even just contests a 1-1 at this point. I think Patra's absolutely fine with that. Oh god. Well, the good news for CaraCute is she can finally kill off this Corpse Taker with the double Raid Leader, but that is a big investment.
It's a big investment, isn't it? The one thing going in that play's favor, I guess, would be that she can follow up with the Vine Cleaver next turn, but she's decided gonna save those cards, gonna not worry about dealing with the board now, gonna try and build up a big board and maybe get some face damage in next turn with this combo, or the turn after even.
You know what's the really worrying thing if you're in CaraCute's position right now? You haven't even seen Defile yet.
Defile... Are there Hellfires in this deck as well? I don't recall...
There are no Hellfires, but there are double Defile. Even just Acolyte of Pain is fantastic at just going into multiple 1/1s.
Yeah.
And deep drawing multiple cards.
Yeah, that
Even
hurts.
the Galvanizers are good just as a body in this matchup. It's a 1/2 that kills 2 dudes.
No. I'm imagining them like crunching their fists, being like, right, Silverhand recruits, let's go.
I got your number.
So even Vine Cleaver's not looking that strong here. I mean, that's kind of hyperbole. Like, Vine Cleaver's always strong. Swing it into the Corpse Taker. The 2/1/1s go into the Wax Elemental. Cora ends up with 4 1-1s on the board. The problem is, Patra's board just trades so efficiently into 2 of those 1-1s. She's got a good hand for, well, the long run of this game, I guess. She's just not really worried.
Not at all. Just
Like you
check.
said, Acolyte is insane.
Yeah, just checking CaraCute's list, and she just runs a single copy of Divine Favor, no Witch's Cauldron, no Prince Liam, none of the kind of late game stuff that people have put in to kind of extract a bit of extra value. So I think CaraCute really needs to hit that Divine Favor, and really needs to hit it quite soon.
Patra can just prevent this Vine Cleaver from hitting ever again over the next few turns. Freeze this turn, could even develop Acolyte. That's really annoying for Cora. Next turn, second Glacial Shard, freezes the face again, plays another Acolyte if her hand's not too full.
Yep, and Pathra's already down to 12 cards. This Acolyte's going to draw, I'd say, at least 2, likely 3. Ooh.
Oh!
I stand corrected, everyone. Void Ripper can reduce the card draw from the Acolyte of Pain to just 1.
The plays!
It's a really sad play, though. Ah, but you have the good old Raid Leader Void Ripper combo. It's going to make all these Silverhand recruits 2/2s.
I mean, if Cora had 1 more mana, then genuinely this play would be pretty insane. Playing both Raid Leaders, then flipping the attack and health. Even now, it's not bad.
It's not bad, but CaraCute just needs something a lot better than not bad.
It's in fact, yeah, it's so not bad that she's just going face.
She needs that damage. She has seen both Corpse Takers. She's seen a Cheaty Ankle Biter. Still Ziliacs and Spellstones and the second Cheaty Ankle Biter to go in the way of healing. Still not seeing any of those Defiles, which she's going to be really worried about. So Patra's got a lot of gas.
Why do you think they call him Cheaty Ankle Biter?
It's a good question.
Like, what's so cheaty about him? I think he's a pretty fair card.
It lets Mechthune Warlock run Corpse Taker. That seems like cheating to me.
That's a real cheat, that is.
It's not fair. And
Patra's like, what's this? Why aren't my 1/2s value trading into the Silverhand recruits? What's going on here?
now that is cheating. But this Vine Cleaver not going face for yet another turn is really detrimental to what Cora can actually do. And this hand is pretty bad. Everything just kind of gets contested by the board. And really, when you're an odd paladin that's being contested by the board by a Mechthune Warlock, something's gone really horribly wrong. And Patra's still at 30 health.
It's sort of ended up being a repeat of the last game. In that Patra's just chilling.
Oh, there it is.
I'm going to go ahead and check the matchup data for this one now using the old HS replay. And it's actually a lot closer than expected. There aren't enough games recorded at Legend to tell you.
Of course not.
No, it's 50-50 according to HS replay.
Yeah, I can kind of believe that. Like, there is so much variance with how Mechthune Warlock is constructed that you could really see a lot of things. Like, even just including a Tar Creeper, as Patra's done, would just make you that little bit better and just kind of up it by maybe 0.5% or something. And there are still, I think, a considerable number of people who play the kind of Skull Void Lord thing with a lot more late game and a lot more dead cards against something like an odd paladin. Corpse Taker is in this meta just the nuts.
Yeah. There's old Cheaty again.
Old Cheaty. Good old Cheaty.
Again, he's been strong in this matchup. He really has been. And in the previous one too, with the Spellstones, definitely seeing some real potential in this card that has until now gone undetected.
Yeah, it was very much one of those kind of under the radar cards that everyone just kind of realised, you know what, this is actually pretty good. I just want to point out that Pathra still has not drawn Defile, either of them, with 7 cards remaining in the deck, against an odd paladin, and is still comfortably ahead.
Well, this is why I was so surprised when I saw that this was supposed to be a quite close matchup.
Yeah, Pathra
I
did
just sort
draw.
of assumed Warlock does
very-
Warlock things. Yeah, that's true.
Like, the double corpse taker just completely shut everything out. CaraCute would normally, I think, get a lot more sort of early game presence. And just realised, is there Frostwolf Warlord in this list? Or have we just not seen it? Oh, they're in there. Kara's just not drawn them. I think that card probably helps a considerable amount in this matchup.
That's true.
Especially when they don't run something like Voodoo Doll, which we can see is in the hand anyway. But
There's only one though, isn't there? There's no like Siphon Soul or anything. So apart from, unless you count Glacial Shards as sort of pseudo removal, if you get what I mean. Like there's there's not all that many ways for Pathra to deal with the big threats. With that Blood Balloon pickup and Solarium drawn there, Pathra can just go ahead and play this. She doesn't care about her last 2 cards. She's winning this game next turn.
Yep, it's over. That's the end of the game. CaraCute is not doing 25 damage in 1 turn through a Wax Elemental. That's just not happening. So, that was a quick game. After that absolute marathon of a... Okay, well, there is always the possibility Pathra doesn't play the combo correctly. I don't know how you'd exactly do it with Mechathune Warlock. At least in Mechathune Priest you have the ordering possibility, but, you know, stranger things have happened.
It's been a great series, though. This was a much longer series than the one that we saw earlier between Thebes and Hydralisk. Me and Cora were both questioning Patra's priest play a little bit. That did seem like there was some somewhat different lines she could have taken to have a more assured victory there. But all in all, she got through the series. She's made it through to the next round, and she's looking to be in very good shape.
Absolutely. So that was a 3-1 victory to Pathra in the end.
Yeah.
I mean, people watching the stream weren't treated to my screams of no when she traded the 1-1 before the psychic scream in the priest
No, they
game.
were just treated to my screams of no when she did that instead.
I was doing it just the same.
But yeah, there you go. That is the second series of the day over. There's still plenty more. There's 4 more series today, is that right?
Yes, but 2 of them will be happening off stream. We're going to be having the 2 winners matches happening on stream next. So
Next up, we're going to have maybe Pathra versus Thebes, or is it going to be the other one?
It is going to be Pathra versus I Orchestrate, the first match. I Orchestrate versus Dragon Rider.
Sure.
Took place before the stream started. There were some timing constraints. They had to play a bit earlier. So we're going to have that match up next. And then to finish off the stream today, we're going to have Thebes versus Future Shock.
Very exciting. In that case, we will go ahead and go to our next break. That is myself finished for the day. Like Cora, I was thrilled to be a part of this event. It's a great thing you guys are all doing here. The Badass Women of Hearthstone playoffs, and I'm going to enjoy watching the rest of it. So that's a goodbye from me, but don't go anywhere because we'll be back with the next round after this.